Hey guys, my name is Michael and today I'll be walking you through week 2 for Capture the Flag from Facebook and CodePath. This week's all about SQL injection. So instead of going and finding each problem in order, right, I'll just go to the first one and I'll click on this link and I'll just work through the problems from this menu right here. Okay, so for example, number 1, the first one, 2.01, hello SQLi, matches up with this. So we'll start from the first one, right? Let's accept it, right? Okay, so SQL. So SQL looks like, all you have to know for this, for the most part, is that a query kind of looks like this. Select something, so you're not really sure. In this case, we're looking for employees, so it can be, let's say, name, email, and so on. But for now, we don't care about it. Select something from some table. So in this case, it could be a users table. But for now, for this question, we don't care. And there's also a parameter called where. So here it's searching by probably the first name. So we look at Dave, because please contact Dave. So Dave should be in here. So if we type in Dave, we get his first name, last name, phone, email, position, and message. So it's going to be like where, name, let's do first name. Right, so something like that equals something. So right now we just typed in Dave. So this is what the command looked like when it ran. So it could also be like this. It could also have a single quote. So it doesn't matter which one. So our technique or approach to breaking in is going to be to try and trick the command in running actual code. So for example, if we type in another double quote in here, everything after the first one is after the second one is going to be ran as actual code. So if we type in or, you see, pay attention how it turns blue, meaning it's a keyword. Or let's say we'll add another tick, double quote, and we'll do 1 equals 1. So if we read this query again, it says select something from some table where first name equals nothing, so an empty name, or 1 equals 1. So in this case, it's gonna basically return everything in the database, because in every time it queries, it's gonna check if the name is equal to something or 1 equals 1, and 1 equals 1 is always true. You could also technically do this. So, yeah. So let's just jump right into question number 1 and we'll try this out. So we'll take the interior piece that we put in and we'll just cut that out and we'll go in here. So keep in mind that there could either be double quotes right here or single quotes. Okay. So let's try double first. We'll submit it. And it'll say this person is not found. So it's using single quotes. So we go back here and we redo the same thing, but with single quotes, right? 1 equals 1. And we cut out the middle part, right? And let's try pasting that in. Okay. And we get the answer. It returns everything in the database. So the answer is down here. The CEO has it. So that's the answer. So let's move on to the next question. Right, so the next question is Painless. So my technique to approach a problem is to start off and figure out what method it's using. So is it using single quote or double quote? For that, it can easily be determined by actually typing a single quote in. So you type in a single quote, and if we see like kind of red text saying that this person or employee is not found, then it means that that's the wrong way to approach the problem. For example, if we type in a double quote, right? Yeah, so it says database query failed. So that's good for us. So from here we can elaborate. So let's try it again. Let's do double. Let's type in or, close the double, and then we'll do 1 equals 1. So if we copy that over to demonstrate it in here, if it's using double quotes, right, we paste that in. You see how or becomes a keyword, and 1 equals 1. So we submit it, and it doesn't work. So they might be restricting us. So in SQL, there's something called a limit. So a limit can go in the end, and it can be something like limit 1. So in this case, whenever we type something in here, it's going to search it, and then it's going to say return only 1. So return the first one. So in this case, we can kind of avoid this limit by commenting it out. So there's two ways to comment stuff out. We can either use a pound sign or a hashtag, or we can use a double dash. So this doesn't really show it well because it doesn't comment the rest of this out, but anything after this point will be commented out. So for us to do it, we can add another double quote, and then we can do a pound sign. So everything down here should be commented out, right? So let's try this one this way. Ready? Let's go here, and we'll submit. So it doesn't work. So it says this is not it's an invalid input. So we can't use this. So let's go over here and let's try our other method. So we'll use the double dash. Oh, it works. Okay, so we'll use the double dash, and for the double dash, at least in our scenario, make sure that there's a space after and there's a space before it, or else it's not going to work. So let's try this method. Ready? We'll copy that over, paste it in here. Make sure there's a space over here on this side and this side, and we'll submit. And here we go. We get the flag, endless ways to inject. So we'll move on to the next one. So we can go logic, and I'll be using the next button for the rest of these. So I think so. Yeah, I'll be using the next button. So for logic, let's figure this out again. Let's use a double quote. So that doesn't work. Let's try single quote. That's good. Let's try or single quote 1 equals 1. Okay, submit. Here we go. That's easy. That easy. Okay, let's move on to the next one. And for this one, we start off same process, right? Double doesn't work. We'll do single. So we're good. Single is good for us. We'll do or 1 equals 1, right? Here we go. Back at it with another SQLi. Let's move on to the next one. Okay, so here we kind of have a drop-down menu. So there's two ways of approaching it. We can use a tool like burp, so we can modify it with burp, or we can actually go and inspect element. So we'll inspect element over here. We'll select the options, right? And we can actually edit as HTML. So I just copy this over, and we'll create a new option, and we'll call it payload. Okay. Actually, no, that's the value, right? So we'll call it payload, and for the value, let's try single quotes. Okay. So we'll do single or single 1 equals 1. Right. Let's make this bigger a little bit. So this is our injection over here. Right. So copy that. Oops. Okay. So let's see, and you see the value added. So let's close this up, and in the drop down we should see our payload, and we'll submit, and here we go. We actually get all of the information back. This wasn't so bad, was it? and then we'll move on to the next question. For this one, let's try it again. Let's do single. Single doesn't work. Let's try double. Double's good. So we'll do double or 1 equals 1. Okay, we get 1 back. That means they're limiting us somehow. So there should be a limit. So we can either go with the 2 dashes or the pound sign. Let's try 2 dashes. Make sure there's a space after. So that one doesn't work. It says invalid input. Let's go back down and try it with a pound sign. Okay, and you see how it says space is invalid right here? Make sure there's no spaces in there. We submit it, and here we go. Hashtag commenting for the win. Right, let's move on to the next one. This one's a little bit trickier. So let's it says we get a hint. So it says admin has the flag. Right, so let's see if we can search for admin. So admin is an invalid input. So they don't want us typing in admin. Okay, let's say we can also test it by saying let's try this person. So without an A, this is not found, but if we type in admin, it's an invalid input. So they're trying to prevent us from typing in admin. Okay, so we can keep that in mind. So let's try double quote. Let's try single quote. Single quote is good, so we'll try something like this. Okay, and it's returning only 1. So let's do that, but we'll add a pound sign. So it's still only returning 1. It ran, but it returns 1. So in SQL, the limit doesn't always have to be at the end. There could be an option right here saying select 1 from whatever, from the database. So they could limit us in other ways than just adding a limit on the end of the query. So over here we have to elaborate and kind of figure it out. So if I were you, I would pause the video now, try to figure it out. If you can't, come back. So what we can do is we can do something like this. So we'll close this, right? And actually we'll just search an empty query. So you see how it says no results found. So that's good. So we'll put a tick and we'll say or. So we want either an empty name or we want a first name. So we can guess how they're actually typing into their database. So we can start by saying, let's say first name, right? Like, and we can put something like, so they don't want us to put admin in there. So if we type in admin, this is not going to work. But we can also use a wildcard. So if we use a wildcard over here for, let's say, the letter A, the database will decide what to give us back. And this should technically go through without being told, without us being told that admin is a wrong. Like we can't use admin. So we'll do this, and for good measure, we'll just close it off with the pound sign. So let's copy that because it's not going to work, but we can try. So it's going to say first name, right? So database query found, not failed. So maybe it's not first name. Why don't we try first underscore name? So let's try that. Submit, and here we go. We get the answer. Even though it says SQLi is more fun with hex, we kind of did it a different way. I guess we were supposed to use hex for this one, but we didn't. We got around it. Let's move on to the next one. This one, drop down menu again. So let's inspect element. Right. Go over here, check the select options. We can edit as HTML. Copy that over. As value, we'll type in, let's try single quote or single quote 1 equals 1. And we'll rename it to payload. Okay. Let's close this up. Let's see our payload and we'll submit. Let's see. Our warmed up yet. So let's move on to the next one. Same thing. There's a drop down. Okay. And it says the query will return the top 3 results. Okay, if available. Great. So let's inspect element. And let's see this. Okay, so this is a little different. It's encoded and something. So this looks like base 64. So let's use burp for this. So we'll submit it. Okay. And we get the top 3 engineers, right? So we can go over here and we can go to the repeater. Actually, yeah, let's send this over to the repeater. And this is what we get. If we do it again, we get the top 3 engineers. So let's go to the decoder and try to decode that phrase. So it's probably base 64. And it says engineer. So let's encode something. So let's do our encoding. So let's do this or this 1 equals 1. And let's encode it as, let's see, whoops. Can't move this. There we go. Sorry, my screen recorder was in the way. Okay, so we get something like this. So we can copy that over and go back to the repeater. And you see how it has a % sign 3D. So that means it's encoding it in URL. So we have 2 equal signs actually. So we're going to just copy the first part of it. Go to our repeater and paste it in. But then you see how we have %3D, that means equals in URL. So we'll copy that over twice because we have 2 of them. And if we go, we get something back. Let's see what it is. Let's make it bigger. And we get the flag. See, capture the flag. You fancy, huh? Alright, we are fancy. Alright. So let's bring it back and let's go to the next one. We could also paste it in here. Let's just do it for fun. So we'll go over here and instead of, see, we can also change manager. So we'll go over here and we'll, whoops, wrong thing. We'll copy this over and we'll change the manager value to our injection, right? So if we go back here and we actually select manager, it should run the injection and we get the flag. Let's move to the next question. This one gets a little trickier. So let's start single. Single didn't work. Double. Double is good. Then we'll do double or 1 equals 1 and see what happens. Okay, so there probably is a limit. We'll try the pound sign. Okay, so we get it. And we see the capture the flag. We see, and it says the flag is the current database name. So let's work on that. So let's go back to our injection over here. And what you guys will notice is that they're actually limiting our characters. Right, so I can't type anything more than like 15 characters. There's 2 ways of doing it. We can go inspect element and we can modify this max length over here. If we set it to anything more than 15, right, or we can actually delete the whole thing in the first place, right? So there's no more max character. And now we can actually type in anything we want of any length. So that's the first way of doing it. The second way is to use burp. So if we do this, every time we click submit, we will have to do that again because it's going to limit us again to 15 characters. So if we go back to burp, let's go and check the post request. And it's using URL encoding. So we can either change it all the time, or we can go over here and encode it as URL every single time we want to inject it. So go back here and let's just do it this way. So we'll change the max length, delete it. Okay, let's go back here. Okay, so for this, we know that we're using double quotes. So let's actually use Griff, because that's the first name of the guy that gave us the hint. So we'll type in Griff. Okay, and then use double quote. And then we'll do something called union. So what union is going to do, it's going to append a table to the back of our, like below our table. So it's going to return Griff, and then it's going to return whatever we type in next. So let's do something like this. We're going to do select. Okay, and because we have first name, last name, phone, email, position, resume, we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tables. So instead of, we have to return 6 tables for it to union select successfully. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, and then we're gonna write table schema. Oops, table schema. Actually, let's make it prettier. Let's do it this way. Let's add some space. All right, table schema. Schema. Then we're gonna write table name. Right, and then we're gonna do how many do you have? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. So 1, 2, 3, 4 table schema, table name. Okay, and then we're gonna do from, right? Let's do from information underscore schema dot tables. Okay, we're gonna close this up. And if we actually, let's also add a comment in the end. Right, so we submit it. Okay, so that's good. We get Griff, that table, that entry, and then we get our tables at the very bottom. So we see that this is from the information schema and this is from something else. So if we scroll all the way down here, we find something interesting. So we find SQLi 01, SQLi 02. If you keeping track, we were searching for employees these past few questions. So these are the actual questions that we're doing, and we're skipping ahead a little bit, but if you look at SQLi 15, right, this is going to be useful for our last question. Keep in mind that for SQLi 15, there's two things. There's employees database and there's resumes. But for our purposes, we're on question number 10, I think, right? So it says flags 10. So I'm pretty sure this is the answer. I can't double check because I already completed the round, but I'm pretty sure this is the answer. Yep. So let's move on to the next question. Okay, so for this we have a login. So let's go back to our editor and let's play around with this. So it's going to look like something. It's going to look something like this. So we have select something from something where first name and password. Password equals something, right? So if we go back and we type something into the input field for username, first name, or yeah, this would be username. If we type something in here, something like this, or 1 equals 1, we see that everything after this is going to be, well, should be commented out. Let's actually do it this way. So you see how everything after this part is commented out. And it's just going to look for a username that's empty or 1 equals 1. So it's going to log us in because we don't need a password now. So let's go back and let's figure out what it's using. Let's try a single quote. Okay, single quote worked because it says database query failed. So we'll do that. We'll do single quote or single quote 1 equals 1, and then we'll do single and we'll comment the rest out. We submit. Here we go. It's hard to see, but it's in the green. It's right here. Green flags and ham. Okay, let's move on to the next question. So same thing. It's a login. We try single quote. Didn't work. We'll try double quote. We see a database query failed. So let's do double quote, and let's just paste this in. Double or double 1 equals 1, and then we comment out the rest. So we submit. Here we go. Flag is only for Mr. Administrator. Right? Let's move on to the next one. Yeah, so we're getting into the harder ones. Let's try again. Single work. So database query failed. So we'll do single or single 1 equals 1. So that didn't work. It says that string something is invalid, and it returns a space. So we're not allowed to use spaces in this question. So if we go back and type in something with no spaces, it works. But we're limited to only 1. So let's go back and let's try to use our handy dandy comment. And we try that. Here we go. So now it says, please fill in the flag with the MySQL version. So we're going to go back up here, and actually let's do this. So we see this person, right? So let's search. Okay, so we find this, and then we go back here and let's do let's do single, then we do or 1. Actually, we don't even need to do that. So we can just do this. We'll do that, then we'll do union. Oh, we can't use spaces, that's right. So we'll not use any spaces. We'll do union. Then we need a space or something between union and select. So in our case, let's use another comment. So this version of the comment, you would put /* then you would do */. So this basically is a comment. You can type anything in here, and this would be commented out in the actual database query. So we'll use that to our advantage. We'll use that as a space in this case. And then we'll go, let's just copy this over again. We'll type in select, okay, and we'll paste that in again. And then we'll do 1, 2, because we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 tables, or 6 columns that we're returning. So we need to return 6 also. So we'll do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6. And then actually, yeah, let's try it this way. Then we'll do this, and actually, yeah, so we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2. So we need to put something in here for the last table. Let's try at version. Okay, so that should technically return the version of the database. And then after this, we type in from and paste another space. And SQL has, the database has a fake table called dual. So it's used for development or testing purposes, and hackers can use it for their own purpose. So let's type in dual and #. So you can see that there's 6 tables, right? 6 columns, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and we typed in 6 of our own. So we did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then our 6th was version. So we'll copy that and we'll submit. But database query failed. So it didn't work, but we're almost there. So let's go back and let's try maybe adding another column to our thing. So maybe they're doing something with the output. So let's go back here. Let's add a 6 in here. So let's return 7 columns. Let's try that. Here we go. We get it. So we can see that the first column, the ID, because most tables have an ID column, they're actually not returning it. So they're not returning the first column. And the first name is actually the second column. So we need 7 instead of 6. And we see that that's the version number. And so the actual answer for this would just be CTF, and then you just paste this in to the middle. Okay, let's move on to the next question. Okay, let's test our things again. We'll do single. Single didn't work. We'll try double. Double's great. We'll do double or 1 equals 1, and then we'll comment out the rest. Okay, so we get it. It says flag, and then we get a bunch of these. So you could try to decode that, decipher that, but when I was actually doing this myself, I found this answer through playing around and just searching inside the database and just seeing where I could get my stuff from. Or for actually the few questions back when we were doing where we found Griff had our hint and we had to find something related to that, I actually found the answer for this one in that problem. So to get it here, we would just do double quote. All right, we'll do this query again, and then we'll just union, and we'll do union select. And what we need to get from this, we need to get the column names. So if we get column, right, column name from information schema, that columns, right, and we submit it, we get something back, and we get a bunch of columns, right? So we can keep scrolling down and scrolling down. But if we also do Control F to make our lives easier, and we type in flag, flag, okay, here, flag, we found it. So we see CTF, the best column names ever, with 3 R's. And that's our answer for this problem. So I actually found the answer to this while playing around with a different question before. But yeah, this is how you do it here. Let's move on to the next one. So here, oh, this is the last one too. Let's see. All right. Yeah, it's the last one. So remember how earlier I said that keep in mind that there's 2 things here. There's employees DB and there's resumes. So we're going to use that. So if we go over here and we type in our double quote, we see that database query failed, so that's good. So we'll do something like this. Okay, so we get first name, last name. After doing a little research and looking at what other columns they have in here, I found a really cool column that says resumes, right? So we're currently inside the employees DB. So to go from here, we can do double, actually let's just do this. Let's show everything. So we'll go here and then we'll type in union select. What are we going to select? We're going to select first name, and we're going to select resume ID. Okay, and it's going to be from our employees DB. Right. So yeah, and then we're going to add $. So if we actually do this, we scroll down and we see that every person, we could actually use a different query instead of union, and that will put, instead of adding everything below, we can use a join. This way it's going to add on a column over here and it's going to look a lot prettier. But this is basically the same thing. We see how the first person over here matches up with the first person over here, and we get their resume IDs. So this means that I guess the resume is held in a different area or different place. So let's kind of elaborate on that. Let's paste in what we had before. So we had union select, first name, resume ID from employees, DB. Okay, so we'll add something else onto that. We'll do union select. What are we selecting? We're selecting resume ID, resume from resume. Okay, and we close this off, and we're going to do that. Whoops, I made a mistake. Let's see, union select. Resume ID, comma, from, oh, okay. So instead of resume, it should be resumes. Okay, because you have to pick the right, everything has to be perfect over here, or else it's gonna not work. Let's submit this. Great. Scroll down. We see again that all these people up here match down with the people here. And if you look closely, these resume IDs match up with these resumes down here. And if you look down, we see, wow, you're getting good at this. So a better way of doing this would actually be a join, which instead of adding the column, adding down below here, it would create a new column on the side, right here, on the right side. And it would look a lot cleaner than this way, but you still get the answer here. So wow, you're getting good at this. I think that's it, right? So not too difficult if you know what you're doing. Yeah, but it's 40 minutes if you know what you're doing, and it took me a little bit longer. But thanks for watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, and look for more videos. Thank you. Bye bye.